Welcome back, guys. This is the 2023 Toyota Venza XLE Nightshade, and I have to say that this is a very surprisingly great vehicle. If you've overlooked the Venza, you need to go give it a second chance. Like, this thing has been very, very pleasant to drive around. It's super comfortable, very economical, and I gotta just say, I think this is the car that most of our parents should be buying and driving. It's like the perfect car for them. So anyway, I wanna show you around the exterior, I'll show you the interior, we'll go for a drive, and I'll give you all my thoughts on what it's been like to live with this last week. But I just gotta say, it's been pretty great. All right, so here it is, and as you can see, it's pretty conservative in its styling, but I do think that it looks really nice. I think it looks really elegant. I think it definitely looks Lexus-esque, and for those looking for a more premium appearance than what like maybe the RAV4 gives you, I think you're going to be really happy. And I think this kind of ruby red color looks great, especially with the nightshade black accents and lettering. And overall, I think it's like just a pretty classy, good looking, compact hybrid SUV. LED lights are wonderful, and again, I think it looks pretty good. Coming into the interior, you're treated to a pretty nice place to be. Not actual leather, soft tex, which I'm a huge fan of. It's kind of like the stuff that's in the 4Runner, which it's not perforated or anything, so it makes it really easy to clean, and you just know it's gonna probably last forever, which is awesome. And then here's your door panels. And overall, it's like a pretty nice looking interior. I do have to say that these seats are some of the more comfortable seats I've sat in a long time. They are actually squishy, and they're accommodating. I mean, I think you could be comfortable in these seats for hours upon hours. This would be an excellent road trip vehicle. Coming into the rear, you're treated to some pretty nice space. So me sitting behind myself, I've got pretty good leg room. I mean, I've got several inches of knee room. I can kind of stretch out my feet underneath the seat. You do have rear vents. There's your charging ports. Awesome. And one of my very, very favorite features of this Venza is the electrochromatic sunroof, which I'll show you in just a second. So for one of my very favorite features, if not favorite feature of this interior, is this electrochromatic roof, which is so cool. And you simply just press this button and it immediately changes to being transparent, which is so awesome. I love this feature, and I think every car should have it. Like, seriously, it's just so cool. Like, I'll press it again. Boom. Opaque. So awesome. Coming into the cargo area, the liftgate is on the slower end. That's okay though. And it's not like amazing, but you've got plenty of space there, especially if you fold down that second row. You got lots of space. I mean, you got more than enough space for two people and their weekend luggage, a very large, trip to the local wholesale club. And like I said, it's a little bit slower going up and down, but that's okay. Starting it up, the start button is under here in like this kind of tubular, weird, awkward encasement. I don't know. Press that. And of course it's a hybrid, so you can't really hear the engine or anything. It's just the battery when you start it up, but you're treated to these pretty cool gauges, actually. You've got this charging eco power gauge over here, which when you really get into it, it'll go into the power, but most of the time you're in that eco range. And then of course, braking downhill, you're kind of in the charge, which is cool. Also an analog gauge over here, just showing your speed, obviously. The only thing that's kind of strange about this is the center display is a little weird. It doesn't give you like a ton of information, and it does keep that speedometer like kind of small up there in the corner. I wish it was just large right here in the middle like in so many other cars, but regardless, it's just fine. Coming into the center stack, you do have a nice wireless Apple CarPlay infotainment, which works pretty well. These buttons do work pretty well. They're easy enough. They just you just touch them and it changes the temperature. The parking brake's kind of hidden down here, and then you do have a wireless charging pad and some ports, but this whole thing is just kind of weird and awkward. It's hard to put stuff in there, and then it kind of slopes down, as you can see, here and over here, so it's like hard to store really much of anything in there. Not my favorite design, especially if this weird start button encasement, like I said, kind of just strange. And then over here in the middle, you do have this tray, and then a little bit more storage under there. Not a ton, but it's doable, it's manageable, and you have your heated seats here. So let's go for a drive. All right, well, let's go for a drive. I apologize for the audio and video quality. My microphone just barely died, so hopefully this sounds all right. And it's a little bit darker, and so this camera does not like it when it starts to get a little bit dark, so forgive me for the poor quality. But let's go for a drive anyway, and I'll give you my final thoughts on this wonderful Venza. All right, so starting off in the Venza. So I've read a lot of reviews and I've watched some reviews about this car, and the consensus seems to be that it's just not that great and that it kind of lags behind, especially things like the RAV4 hybrid, and just by that. And while I do see some, I do see those arguments, and think that some of them are valid. I think that the RAV4 hybrid is definitely an obvious pick in this segment, and a great pick too. But this is also like really good, and I think that the strengths of the Venza, it doesn't totally cross over with the specs. Like if you're just looking at the specs and comparing specs, you're not gonna get a feel for how great this car really is, because what it comes down to is just the driving experience that this car provides, and primarily this car being a very easy, gentle, just pleasant car to drive with, look at that, with pretty adequate power. Like this last week, I've been averaging about 38 miles per gallon, which is right in line with its estimates. In fact, I think it's estimated to be up to about 40 on mostly city driving, 40 miles per gallon, which is like really cool. But this is just like a really great thing to just drive around, and I honestly have no complaints about it. Like the seats are very comfortable, they're squishy, they have good support in every way. I would happily road trip this car. The visibility is excellent. Like you do sit up kind of high. The windshield is huge and rectangular, and visibility all around is pretty good, even with its like kind of sloping back roof line. And the power, like I said, is actually like pretty fun. Like it gets up and moves, which is kind of cool. And this isn't like that much more than the Prius that I had recently, and I honestly would probably take this over the Prius. Like there's more room, way more like headspace, and it's still like pretty fun. So I think it's pretty cool. And if you're looking for something that's maybe not quite on the level of Lexus, but it kind of looks like a Lexus, it definitely looks like a little bit nicer than like the RAV4, which is a little more rugged and youthful. This is definitely more of like a mature, conservative look. But if you're looking for something like that, like this is such a great buy. Like this is the Nightshade XLE, and it's about $42,000. And I actually think that it's like worth that. Like I was like, I saw the price, and usually I kind of hold off on like looking at the price until I've had some experience with it and like kind of guess what the price is. And this is like right in line with what I expect the price to be. And I think that 42 grand, you're gonna be pretty happy with this. So a little acceleration again. Yeah, it just like moves right along. It's pretty fun actually. And the only really nitpick that I have is this center console here on either side. It kind of like V's out like that, which does intrude on your knee room. Like it's kind of, especially on the passenger side. Like if I'm just sitting as the passenger and I want my legs to be straight out, that center console like angle out definitely protrudes into your knee space. Like, so you can't totally like just be at a relaxing state with your knees kind of just like resting outward, without it kind of like resting on that. And it's not very comfortable. Like, it's pretty hard. And so to be honest, sitting as a passenger, it does kind of get a little uncomfortable, and I don't love that. It did make me think of the new 2023 Honda CR-V hybrid that we had. Very, very similar MPGs in space. And I would say if you're shopping for the Venza or the CR-V, either one, I would definitely make sure you drive the other, just to compare. But that CR-V has way more like knee and legroom up front than this does. That's a nitpick. I still think this is really great, and I have really enjoyed driving it. And I think if you're looking for something that's just economical, really comfortable, throw a couple people in the back and have them have space and cargo space, like, and it looks, looks pretty like stylish, looks nice. Like I said, I think you're going to be pretty happy. So, guys, thanks for watching. And if you have any questions about the Venza, let us know down below. If you've owned one or you do own one of these new ones, let us know what your experience has been like. But again, I think this is a solid buy, and I think you're not going to be told the whole story by just looking at the specs. You just need to go and drive one, and you'll feel like the steering just feels good and gentle and easy. The brakes are predictable, and like what it's going to do, and it just feels natural. It feels like a car that you can trust. And like I said in my intro, I think this is the car that a lot of our parents should be buying and driving, because I think they would just really enjoy it. Like, it's just a nice, easy car to drive, comfortable, and it just feels like you can trust it. So thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later. See ya.